We now know how extraterrestrial aliens built their UFOs and control them. This is what Dr. Stephen Greer explains. He is known from the Disclosure Project, and he has a lot of comments now concerning what's going on with the mystery drones over the northeast United States and the UK and over the American bases in Germany. According to Dr. Stephen Greer, a leading advocate for the public revelation of the government's contact with extraterrestrial life, the government has been aware of and secretly studying extraterrestrial spacecraft and their inhabitants since the 1940s. Through his research and gathered testimony from over 400 government officials, Dr. Greer has come to the conclusion that his research establishes beyond any doubt the reality of extraterrestrial life forms, UFOs or extraterrestrial vehicles, and advanced energy and propulsion technologies resulting from the study of these vehicles, as stated on the website of his organization, the Disclosure Project. Dr. Ted Lauder, an earth science professor at University of New Hampshire, who has been studying the subject for 5 years, praised Dr. Greer's research as absolutely first-rate. The Disclosure Project, a non-profit research organization founded in 1993, holds the belief that government organizations that are aware of alien life are operating outside the view of Congress, and that prior American presidents have been deliberately misled and denied access to this information. The organization contends that compartmentalized initiatives that require deliberate disclosure and pertinent legislation hold the key solution to the world's energy, environmental, and poverty concerns. Dr. Greer has compiled over 120 hours of testimony from his conversations with government representatives, which have been condensed into 18 hours of evidence. Notably, testimony includes that of Brigadier General Stephen Lufkin of the Army National Guard Reserves and astronomer Gordon Cooper. During an interview with U-Interview, he said that UFOs are not unidentified flying objects, as the acronym suggests, but rather an alternative energy and propulsion system devices. The technology behind UFOs was heavily studied by a team headed by Dr. Vannevar Bush in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, and by 1954, he said they had developed what's known as gravity control and zero-point energy. Note, Vannevar Bush was an American engineer, inventor, and science administrator who during World War II headed the U.S. Office of Scientific Research and Development, OSRD, through which almost all wartime military R&D was carried out, including important developments in radar and the initiation and early administration of the Manhattan Project. In January 2015, former NASA astronaut Edgar Mitchell sent an email to Podesta asking him to have an urgent meeting to discuss disclosure of zero-point energy, ZPE. He was concerned about the peace in space, and Mitchell wrote, "My Catholic colleague Terry Mansfield will be there too to bring up to date on the Vatican's awareness of ETI. Another colleague is working on the new space treaty, citing involvement with Russia and China. However, with Russia's extreme interference in Ukraine, I believe we must pursue another route for peace in space and ZPE on Earth," he said. However, Dr. Greer stated that the secrecy surrounding this technology went off the rails and became deeply entrenched in compartmented intelligence operations, even causing President Eisenhower to become frustrated with being denied information on the projects. The problem became to be, and this is what President Eisenhower warned us about, the secrecy became so enmeshed and compartmented in intelligent operations that even as president lost control over it. He as president lost control over it, said Dr. Greer. He further said, "One of our military witnesses, he was a young man working at the White House, which I'm looking at from my place here in Washington, he told us, Mr. Lupkin, who is an attorney, said that Eisenhower was very frustrated that he was being denied information on the projects controlling this issue. So the secrecy went off the rails into this unacknowledged special access projects. Dr. Greer became involved in the study of UFOs after conducting investigations and attempting to make contact with the objects. He began by simply exploring and trying to make contact with various objects, but as he continued, he found out that there was a lot more to be discovered than he had initially thought. Through his investigation, Dr. Greer was able to document and uncover new information that had previously been unknown. He was later asked to brief President Clinton, new CIA Director James Woolsey Jr., and realized that there were people within the government who knew about these projects and others who did not. The secrecy surrounding UFOs, according to Greer, is not based on typical national security concerns, but rather on the potential economic impact of the technology. A similar concern was also raised by Stephen Bassett, the only registered lobbyist of Washington. The Paradigm Research Group, PRG, led by Bassett, was established in 1996 to eliminate government-imposed embargo on the disclosure of information about events that may be related to extraterrestrial-related phenomena. He has spoken to audiences around the world about the implications of formal disclosure by world governments of an extraterrestrial presence engaging the human race, and given over 1,200 radio and television interviews. The PRG researchers claim they know the reasons why the U.S. authorities are hiding information about UFOs, and according to them, the entire world economy will collapse if the UFO data is disclosed. Bassett added that all the so-called flying saucers do not use oil, gasoline, gas, or coal. They have a different energy system, without a doubt a much more complex and deep system based on anti-gravity, he said. Some programs have been removed from the jurisdiction of the White House and Congress and are working somewhere very, very deep in a hidden mode, the researcher emphasized. He said, "I assure you, when the head of the state finally officially admits this fact and presents evidence, people will start to worry and want to know more. But even if the economy stops developing in a current way, it will have new opportunities," Bassett believes. The disclosure of UFOs would mean the end of oil, gas, coal, and public utilities, as the technology would be completely transforming throughout the world. Those with trillions of dollars invested in these industries would not be enthused about this possibility. This is the reason, perhaps, for the secrecy, and it has been maintained for 70 years, according to Dr. Greer. Dr. Greer founded the Disclosure Project to bring this information to the public and has interviewed 800 to 900 people who have been involved in these projects. They have put a tip of the iceberg of this information into a movie called Unacknowledged to give people a sense of what the information is and how secrecy at this level is maintained. And this is on House and Wise by Vicky Verma. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.